Hi everybody, welcome to Brew's Views. Today I'd like to do an elementary one-point perspective grid. We're going to learn how to make a horizon line, a vanishing point, the perspective lines or orthogonals, and we're going to divide up the space equally. So we're going to have some diagonal lines also. Just the word perspective seems to scare people off. There are a lot of books out there. There are some great books and there are not so great books. What I mean by that is that there are some books that have a lot of writing about perspective, but not very many illustrations, and that's hard to understand. There are books that have illustrations, but there's too many lines and you can't figure out what's going to what, so there's no step-by-step view for you. And then there are other books that are just really great. And I'll give you a list of those later on. But right now, let's take a look at one-point perspective. Okay, so now here you can see I got this guy and he's holding a pencil in front of his eyes. So what's up with that, Brew? Well, here's the thing. You can't have perspective without a horizon line. And sometimes people don't understand how to find the horizon line. Now, if you're just drawing a perspective grid, it's not such a big deal. You can just put in a horizon line, you can put in your vanishing point and your perspective lines or orthogonals. But sometimes you might be drawing from life, trees, landscape, buildings, people, and you need to find where the horizon line is. Well, the horizon line is usually your eye level. You're either looking straight onto something, you're looking down on something, or you're looking from below and up on something. The best way to find your horizon line is to take a straight edge like our little fellow here, simply put it in front of your eyes, and then move your arm straight out in front of you like that, and wherever that straight line is on your landscape, your figure, your city, that's where your horizon line is going to be. So you'll be able to tell very quickly by using this little method right here. Just pull it out in front of you and keep it at eye level. You'll be able to tell whether you're looking down on something or up on something or straight onto something. So now that we've figured out how to find our horizon line, we're just going to make a horizon line, and we'll talk about whether we're looking down or up on something in a little bit. So the next thing that we want to do, we want to create a horizon line. So there's a horizon line. Now you see I've just arbitrarily put my horizon line on this piece of paper. Doesn't really matter where. So the next thing that we need is a ground plane. So here's our ground plane. So let me label these so that you know what they are. Ground plane, right there. And then we want our horizon line. So now our horizon line is right here, okay? Now in the future, our horizon line will be H, L, and our ground plane will be G, P. Super easy. All right, so now that we have our horizon line and we have our ground plane, the next thing I want is my station point. Now my station point is where you're standing, okay? So for today, our station point's just going to be right here. And you're going to draw, you're really going to want to have a ruler. Okay, that's going to be important. Okay, so we're going to want to have a ruler. And I'm going to draw a straight line going right up through my horizon line. So horizon line, ground plane, and station point. We've got our ground plane, we've got our horizon line, we have our station point, and where the station point intersects with the horizon line, that's where your vanishing point is going to be. Vanishing point. So the next thing that we need to establish is our diagonal vanishing point. So from the station point to the horizon line at about a 90-degree angle, okay, you're going to have a diagonal vanishing point. So I'm going to go from here to here, about 90 degrees. This is about 45, so this whole thing right here is going to be 90. And I know I promised you no math. Just think of a perfect corner, like the corner on a box. And that's going to give you your diagonal vanishing point. Diagonal vanishing point. The next thing we want to do is we want to mark off from the station point equal distance. So I'm using 1-inch markers here. Super easy. And 1 inch on the other side. Just want to make sure that your marks are the same distance apart. Now here comes the fun. I'm going to use a little bit of a different color here for you so that you can really see this. So we go from the vanishing point and we make an orthogonal line. This is a perspective line. From the vanishing point, make sure you go from the vanishing point to the marks that you made. Just real quick like this. Super easy. And there you have it. Now you can see why this diagonal vanishing point is important. Because at each point where this diagonal vanishing point intersects with one of your perspective lines is dividing your grid horizontally. So this is how people get those perfect looking tiles on the floor, those perfect stones, bricks, windows that are spaced evenly apart in perspective. So let's see how that works. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a straight line from my first intersecting point and I'm going to go across, just like that, straight across. This is where your ruler comes in handy. I've seen people do this demonstration on the internet without rulers and it really just doesn't look as good. So I'm going to go all the way across, just like this. You see how the squares get a little bit smaller. See that? Closer and closer together. They are mathematically, oops, there's that word again, spaced apart so that they look like they're going back in space, which is the whole idea for perspective. You're trying to create the illusion of a three-dimensional space on a two-dimensional surface. Now, you can do the exact same thing at the top as you do at the bottom. I'm going to put in, what is this line here? That's right, it's the ground plane. Ground plane, okay? Horizon line stays the same. Station point and vanishing point stay the same. I'm just going to bring this line up here. I'm going to bring it back to my diagonal vanishing point. I'm going to grab my red. Whoops, no I'm not. What did I forget? Making my equal distance points. And I can go from here to here, here to here. The important thing is to make sure that all lines that are going away from you and towards you, which are these lines right here, your perspective lines, or the big word, orthogonal, just make sure that they are equal distance apart. Now I can switch back and I can start making my lines right where these guys intersect. Look at that. So if you have tiles on your ceiling, you can do that too. What if I need more? What if I need these lines to go closer to the horizon line, these horizontal, black horizontal lines right here? What if I need them to go closer to the horizon line and the vanishing point? I just take this diagonal and pull it out to here like this. And you see it intersects. So now all I have to do is continue. And you see they get really close together. There we go. Just remember, the closer that things get to the horizon line, the more that they flatten out. So now that we have this crazy grid, what do we do with it? Well, there's all kinds of things that you can do with it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to lower the opacity on here, and I'm going to draw some boxes. And the first thing that you need to remember is all verticals, and verticals are lines that go straight up and down, are going to be parallel with the edge of your picture plane. All horizontal lines are going to go horizontal, and they are going to be parallel with your top and your bottom picture plane. All lines that go away from you and come towards you. So if you're standing in a room and you're looking at where the wall and the ceiling meet and you follow that line goes away from you to another wall or outside or wherever, and it comes towards you. Those lines are the perspective lines. And when you're using perspective, all of those lines have to go back to your vanishing point. Now I'm noticing that that green's not showing up very well, so I'm going to change it to blue. Okay, so now we're ready to make a box. Here's my eye level, remember that? So that horizon line is telling me whether I'm looking up on something or down on something. If I'm looking down and I'm making a box, I'm going to see the top of the box. So let's try that. And we come out here. We make a horizontal. Make sure that line goes all the way to the corner. We make a vertical and another vertical. Using our vanishing point, we connect those two. And using our horizontal, we connect that. So if I take away the lines that I don't want, and I'm just erasing these lines, you see I've got a pretty nice looking box here. Okay, but I'm looking at the top of the box. Here's the front of the box, and there's the side of the box. So let's try that again. So from my horizon line, I can start any way I want. I can start with the front of my box, and I can go back, across, down, and get rid of whatever I don't want. And there's another box. It's easy. Now, what if I want to look at the bottom of a box? Well, if I want to see the bottom, that means I need to be looking up on the box. So that's going to be above my horizon line, above the horizon line. So let's try it. Draw my box first. Then I'll come back here to my vanishing point to create the lines that are going away from me, and then put my back on my box. And now you can see that I'm looking at the bottom, the front, and there's the side. And you can draw tons of boxes. So let's draw a few more. As long as I go back to that vanishing point, I'm fine. And all my corners need to connect. Just keep your lines straight. What if you're drawing a box that the orthogonals or the perspective lines don't match up with the lines that you already have? This is really simple. So I'm just going to zoom in here for a second. So what if this is all I can see? I can't even see my vanishing point, and I want to make a box. So what I can do is I can make my box, right? Notice that this corner is not exactly lined up with this perspective line, and this corner is not exactly lined up with this perspective line. All I have to do is make sure that when I bring this line back, that it stays parallel with my orthogonal or my perspective line. Just keep it parallel. That means that it's going to be the same distance here as it is here, all the way back. And if I want to create a room, keeping these lines parallel because they're not exactly lined up with, see, that's a little off. And look at that. Now you have an open box that's got a top. You can see the inside of the top and the outside of the bottom. I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I hope you do lots of practice with 1-point perspective. I'll be back next time with 2-point perspective. Be sure to leave your comments, and I'll try to contact you and answer your questions. And subscribe to Brews Views. Bye now.